Let's look at using combined functions and looking at domain and range. Now, when not stated, we generally say that it is the natural domain that applies for our functions. But we need to be careful because sometimes that domain may not be applicable to functions that we have in a combined function question. If I had the function f of x is equal to x take 5 and g of x is equal to 1 over x take 1, and I wanted to look at g of f of x, so that means take my function g and in replace of x put the entire function f of x. So on the bottom I end up with x take 6. For this combined function at the end now, I have a particular set of rules that I would be able to have, or for my domain and range. So if I first look at it and say, for the function f of x, well, there are no values that f of x cannot be. So the domain for this would be all real values, so x is contained within all real values. And its range is also that f of x in this case would be also all real values. What this means is that I can put any value into the domain, into f of x, and I'll get any value out. But when I actually put this into the g of x, I need to think to myself, well, what is the domain of g of x? Well, the domain of g of x is all real values such that x is not equal to 1. Because if it was 1, I'd have a 0 on the bottom, and that would be undefined. And so therefore, for my range also, g of x in this case is contained within all real values such that g of x cannot equal 0. Because there is no way that I could have 1 divided by anything equaling 0. Now, using this fact, I need to realise that if I'm thinking of my function machine here, whatever values I get out of f of x that are now inputted into g of x, well, my range of f of x is all real values, but my domain of g of x can't be 1. So I need to make sure I understand that not all the values of the range of f of x are going to work for g of x. And ultimately, if you look at this situation, we would find that the domain of this function here, which is our combined function, the domain would be that x is contained within all real values such that x cannot equal 6, because we can't have that as being a 0 on the bottom, and the range is that g of f of x, or you can just put y in this case, is contained within all real values such that it is not equal to 0. Because again, this can't be 0 at all. And so in fact, by combining the function, you will get the domain and range of that combined function, but it is important that you understand where that domain and range do come from and the restrictions that are there.